Welcome to the April 4th, 2022 meeting of the Rotary Club of Jamestown. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, singing the national anthem, and repeating the four-way test. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose love shines in bright stars through the perilous fight? For the ramparts we watch, where so gallantly stream, and the rocket's red flare, the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Let's repeat the four-way test. Are the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And an invocation today by Mary Schiller.
Good afternoon, everyone. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we arrive safely because we sailed too close to the shore. As Rotarians, therefore, let us renew our obligation to be of service to mankind, just as the return of spring renews growth of the world around us, with a new commitment to help others in our community, our nation, and our world. With the power, influence, and resources that we have in our community, let us always remember that these are a blessing from God. The charity is more fulfilling than decadence, and the golden rule is a much richer yardstick than any bank account. Amen.
Thank you, Mary. Please welcome Vice President Ruth Lundeen to announce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
So today we're happy to welcome John Felton, the CEO of the Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union, who's a guest of Diana Meckley. Paula Pichon, the City of Jamestown grant writer, who's a guest of Eddie Sunquist. And on Zoom, we have Ruby Andalori, who's my guest.
Ruth. Announcements. Our Rotary year is recorded today as Lynn Gruhl. As always, many thanks to you and the Communications Committee. It's all you do to keep our club informed. 50/50 signups are going around, so please sign up or see Sharon Hamilton. And the announcement I'm thrilled to make is that we did achieve our goal of over $5,000 raised from North Main Street sign for so thank you to everybody who contributed, participated, sold tickets, bought tickets, and especially thanks to Ruth and Kevin for leading those efforts and reaching our goal. Ruth, I think you have quite a few.
Well, first of all, in case Lynn is on Zoom and nervous, I am doing the Rotary today. She and I switched. So once again, a reminder that for exchange, we are looking for 3 host families for an exchange student for next school year. This is really, I can't say it enough. It's a fabulous opportunity to get to know someone from another culture, introduce them to ours. We need 3 host families for the school year, each taking the student for about 4 months. So right now, we're focusing on a search for families at the Southwestern School District or Maple Grove. So let us know, contact Sherry Cruel or Chris Anderson if you think you know a family that would be a good host, or if you'd like to try it yourself. And we're also looking for someone to be the student's Rotary counselor. So the Vision Committee met on Tuesday, and we voted to propose to the Community Service Fund that we match donations that any Jamestown Rotarian makes to the Disaster Relief Fund, which will go to Ukrainian disaster relief in April. So give to the Rotary Foundation Disaster Relief Fund, because all those contributions in April will go toward Ukrainian relief efforts. So Rotary is sort of in a unique position because Rotary districts themselves can apply for expedited disaster response grants to provide to relief to refugees or other victims of the war in Ukraine. So not only the Ukrainian clubs can apply, but also in the surrounding countries. So this would be either to provide relief to the refugees or sending items, food, water, shelter, and medicine or clothing. So the monies will go directly to Ukraine. John Germ, the chairman of the Rotary Foundation, says, this is the priority, to direct all funds to supply water, food, medicine, shelter, and clothing. They will be put to use quickly and effectively in the regions most in need. Our relief funds work with partners, Shelter Boxes, and the United Nations High Commission on Refugees. The Rotary Action Group for Refugees, Forced Displacement, and Migration is also mobilizing its resources to assist in this crisis. So you can, I put some forms on your tables with the link to Rotary International's Disaster Response Fund. So what we're saying is, if you choose to make your donation, a donation to the Rotary International Fund, if you let me know, or then Rotary will, the Vision Committee, the Community Service Fund will match up to $500. And so we need to hear from you by April 25th if you're going to do this. And then we will, the Rotary Community Service Fund will match up to $500 for Ukraine. The Vision Committee also voted in that meeting to defer consideration for additional funding to the Uganda School Project that you heard about last week. Since we've already completed one major project in Pakistan this year. And so, but we want to know if you have any thoughts on last week's presentation, to please contact me or a member of the Vision Committee. Finally, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee will be holding a meeting on Tuesday, April 12th. We will meet in person at the Community Foundation office on Spring Street, but also we will be via Zoom. It'll be a hybrid meeting. So anyone who would like to join us, please let us know. That's Tuesday, April 12th at noon.
Let's give a warm welcome to Jenny Blackman, who will help us celebrate April's birthdays.
Well, I can't tell you if I'm more excited that there are actually people sitting at the birthday table. I won't even go into the large amounts of people sitting at the birthday table, or more excited that Greg and Sue Jones are back. So, anyway, along the lines of what Ruth just told us about the foundation, Rotary Foundation's focus on Ukraine, I didn't know if you, I'm sure all of you have picked up your Rotary magazine and read the article in there. So this may be old information for some of you, but there was an interview. There's an interview in the magazine from March about the conflict in Ukraine with the president of the clubs in Ukraine. And his name is Mykola Steblenko. So the magazine writer asked him, he's the editor of Rotary Magazine Ukraine, I'm sorry. So the Rotary Magazine writer asked him, what's happening with Rotary clubs in Ukraine? And he said there are 62 Rotary clubs in Ukraine. At the moment, only the Rotary Club of Kherson has temporarily suspended meetings because the city is under control of the Russian military. I recently spoke with a Rotarian there. None of them are able to escape and are trapped in the city. They're no longer meeting or doing projects, obviously, and their district governor sent a letter of support. Other Rotary clubs continue to operate and are trying their best to conduct Rotary services. We have created a special committee to coordinate help. Each club has a representative on the committee, and they meet twice a day online to discuss issues facing the clubs. And the next question was, what kind of relief projects are Ukraine clubs doing? And he says they fall into three main areas. One, to provide help to the hospitals. We've set up a special account and received about $100,000 US from Rotary clubs and districts from around the world. And we've already purchased and distributed medicine and equipment. We're also approved for 2 disaster response grants. So that's where our money will go when we give to this initiative that Ruth just told us about. The second thing they're doing is coordinating humanitarian aid. Rotary clubs and districts are sending humanitarian aid via trucks, ships, and air carriers. They're rebuilding Rotary's humanitarian hubs along the Ukraine borders with Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, and Romania. They've received all of the supply items and sent them across the border to our cities. Then we have different hubs inside Ukraine near the border regions where Rotarians distribute this humanitarian help to the cities that are in dire need of help. Most of the items are food, clothing, and medicine. And then the third thing they do are they're helping families of Rotarians leave the country. Finally, the last question is, what's your message to the Rotary clubs around the world? He said, on behalf of Rotarians of Ukraine, I would like to say a big thank you to all our Rotary fellows who've helped us in Ukraine. It means a lot to us during this difficult time in our country's history. At the same time, I'd like to appeal to Rotary people to lobby their governments and push for peace. We're grateful for our friends around the world who are helping us. So we can be those friends. So our birthday people this month are, number 1, today is Sally's birthday. Sally Martinez, the luckiest Rotarian we're ever going to know. Well, apparently this past year. Sally is the retired coordinator of the Greater Jamestown Empire Zone. She has degrees from the University of Buffalo, a Bachelor of Arts in Environmental Design, American Institute of Certified Planners, and Certified Business Financial Planner certification. Who is your sponsor, Sally? Okay, you got to fill that in. And she's a 4-time Paul Harris Fellow. Happy birthday, Sally. One of our retirees, probably one of the oldest members of our club, is Paul Wallstrom, who you still, no? No, do you beat him, John? I didn't think so. Yeah, well, Paul used to own the company that Mr. Painter owns right now. I don't think did he start it? No, I didn't think so.
You're right on the edge of, is it fair to all concerned?
Other men, come on.
Goodwill and better friendships.
I'm just asking factual questions. Come on now. Paul is an honorary member at this point. Happy birthday, Paul. His birthday's on the 10th. And next is that controversial John Lloyd. Sorry. April 14th is John's birthday. John is retired from BWB. True? Okay. He went to where? Not Ohio State. Penn State. Let's all say it together. Penn State. That's right. And Greg Jones was his sponsor. And happy birthday on the 14th, John. Oh, easy to remember. Good for you. Good for you. Happy anniversary. Lisa Goodell's birthday is coming up on April 24th. And she has degrees from Bowling Green State, California State University, and Dominguez Hills, California. And she was the executive director of the Chautauqua Blind Association. Now she's on to many other journeys, I think. And she's our longtime secretary. She's hiding back there. I see her. Lisa, who is your sponsor? Oh, no way. Okay, it's a small town, you know. So anyway, Andy Goodell, so we could add that. And she's a 3-time Paul Harris Fellow. Happy birthday, Lisa. Sharon Hamilton is our next birthday girl, April 26th. Retired from Lutheran Senior Housing. She attended JCC, St. Bonaventure for her master's degree, Alfred University for MPS, University of North Texas graduate certificate, and served as our assistant district governor from 2014 to 17. And Diana Meckley brought her into our club. Thank you, Diana. And she's a Paul Harris Fellow sustaining member. Happy birthday, Sharon. Rich Barkstrom is also celebrating a birthday this month, April 27th, retired real estate agent. And happy birthday, Rich. And finally, Joelle Washer's birthday is on April 27th, too. She is a VP and area manager at Northwest Bank. She attended JCC and the Ohio State University and SUNY Fredonia. And Jennifer Harkness is her sponsor. And she is a Paul Harris Fellow. Happy birthday, Joelle. And now we're going to pick the birthday lunch certificate recipient. And it's Sharon. So I tried to think of something for the April, sing happy birthday to the April showers. And I thought, yeah, well, you're not May. Showers? I thought we could just sing to Sally since it's her birthday today. What do you think, everybody? Are you going to be offended by that? Anybody? Okay, here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sally. Happy birthday to you. Thank you.
Please get your tickets ready as we welcome Melissa Myers for today's 50-50 drawing.
We have $53.
All right.
Today's winner. Would you like to pick?
Maybe one of our guests.
All right, the number is last 3 numbers 077.
077.
Hey, I knew it was a good idea.
Yay!
And give a hand for our Sergeant at Arms, Doug Conroe.
Oh, big hand. Okay, big hand. Oh, we've got some very generous donors today. Dave has had to be away for business reasons and is now back with us. And Mark and Joel also have to leave early today. Everyone has been quite well for the kitty. Before Mark and Joel get out of here, however, Joel, you were pictured in the Gazette Roundabout Town with Jessica, I believe. Great picture. And Mark, in today's Gazette, you might have an association with Brockhattie Clan, who's working on a 100th anniversary tribute and looking for historical information. Okay, good. I don't see Debbie here today, and I can't tell if she's online or not, but Tori's here. Debbie and Tori were pictured in today's Gazette for Striders honoring Zabrowski. Yes, so. You want to say anything or no?
No, thank you.
Okay. All
Just
right.
gonna make some change.
Oh,
Not that much change.
yeah.
Some extra.
Okay, so, and, hi, Chris. I can't tell if Denise is online. I didn't see the photos earlier. But this is Resource Center Day at Rotary. And Denise was recognized as number 67 out of 250 Western New York powerhouse people. Okay. So Diana, the retiree, is going to recognize that too. That's good. That's very good. Grammys were last night. I don't suppose anybody stayed up though. So I should ask you about the last one of the evening? Oh, okay. But I won't, but. On this date in 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated. And what was the purpose of his speaking engagement that day? What cause was he speaking for that day, Sally? Garbage men. Yeah, you got it. Okay, see, I knew your table would come up with it and get you off the hook because it's birthday day. And in Memphis, a memorable. Now, on this date in 1975, we'll go with what's the youngest table here? I don't know. Huh? A guest. Well, there's not one guest there, is there? By golly. You're born in 75? Oh, then it really is more memorable. What did Paul Allen found?
Apple?
Wrong. Wrong. Microsoft. Paul Allen and Bill Gates on this date in 75 founded Microsoft. So really close. So I'll turn it over. There might be some happy bucks in the crowd.
I'll just say.
I am putting a happy buck in because my son, who turned 10 today, shares a birthday with Sally. So this is for him.
Oh, boy. Let's see. Well, first of all, my husband gave me $1, and he wanted to thank everyone that attended the Diamond Dinner and contributed in any way. That's for the CAP organization. And I'm going to contribute $1 because I have another wonderful prospective member with me today, John Felton. And then I've got one more, because when I joined Rotary and I learned, the meetings are on Mondays, and I was told that you will be so glad Rotary meets on Monday because it makes Mondays a lot easier. So I agree with that, even when I'm retired. Oh, and one more. I have to give a dollar, gave $1 for Denise. I have to give $1 for these two great people who live service above self every day,
Every day.
every day.
So I'm going to miss a few weeks, so I'm going to pay in advance for missing. I'm going to go to my mother and father-in-law's memorial service in South Carolina with the rest of the family, so that'll be fun. It's Masters Week, and some of you know what the Masters tournament means to me. But one of my favorite people in the world is sitting here. Terri and I have worked on Toys for Tots for 4 or 5 years now. She's been doing it with Heather Brown for 20 plus years. The joy in their hearts is something that just means the holidays to me. Never frantic, never panicked. There's a lot of balls in the air all the time. There's always that last person that walks through the door and with big smiles on their face, not a problem, we've got you. And the work that Heather and Patrick and Terri do for the children of this community is something I'm proud to be part of.
I only have a couple dollars left, so I'm going to use them to say, also on the screen is Lori Brocklebank, who is a prospective member and joining us. And sometimes it's hard. We don't always get our slips turned in for the people. So I wanted to say that and welcome Lori. And then my other happy buck is also for Terri and for Beth and for everybody that works at TRC. They do such a great job. Doesn't matter what role you play at TRC. I've never met someone who works there who didn't care deeply about the work that they're doing and go far above and beyond the day job. So.
Thought I knew a lot more, so I went. I haven't been here for a while for the regular meetings, but I did a lot of makeup, so.
You did.
Yeah. So and it was my 60th anniversary, or it will be on the 14th of April. So 60 happy years. Thank you.
And I got one happy buck. We had our annual Builders Exchange dinner on Thursday. Mark Geis was our speaker, so I saw Rotary and Katie Geis. She says hi to everybody and is hoping her noon class she has on Mondays is over soon, so she will hopefully join us back shortly.
I have some happy bucks because I missed a couple meetings, but because I was in Florida, and I had the wonderful opportunity to join up with Paulette, who's joining us on Zoom. She's in Florida, so we were able to get together for lunch, and that's just one of the things I really love about the Rotary Club is making connections, being able to meet up with people. So thank you again, Paulette. Enjoy.
I have a happy buck because it's birthday month or the birthday day for the month of April. And I'm sure everybody here has already done your taxes, right?
Yes.
Well, close anyway. But there's a very important birthday on tax day, April 15th, which I think this year is 2 days off. But just one more time, happy birthday, because tax day is Jim Roselli's birthday.
All right, a lot of happy people today. It's my pleasure to welcome Amy Royer from our program committee to introduce our speakers.
So, can't do that. I just have to stand on my tiptoes. So I could not be more pleased that on the day that I'm going to introduce our speakers for today, Terri Johnson and Beth Jermain, to talk about INVESTU, that we have the guests that we have. Paula Pashon, who is one of our guests. Hi, Paula, who's walking out the door. She was probably one of the, 5th people I met when I moved to Jamestown 12 and a half years ago. The first one was probably Charlie Hodges, and I think it was my second day at Community Helping Hands. And he took a book that looked like this, and he threw it on my desk, and he said, "We should do this." And I looked through this book and I looked at the curriculum, which was meant for people who are in poverty and getting them out of poverty. And I thought, I love what's in here, but it's impossible. You could never get this to work with the people that I know who are in poverty. Well, lo and behold, I stand corrected because about 12 years later, the Resource Center has in fact been able to make this work and very successfully. And that is what you're going to learn about today, a program called INVESTU. And I'm going to let them explain what it is, but I will introduce to you both Terri and Beth. So Terri is the Director of Employment and Community-Based Services at the Resource Center. Terri has worked at TRC for 21 years and has spent most of her career focused on finding and creating employment options for people with disabilities, as well as building employee retention programs. Terri has focused on new program development and community collaborations. In recent years, Terri has put a focus in the area of poverty reduction in overseeing an ESPRI program focused on employee retention called SAFER, and is also a certified facilitator in getting ahead in a just getting by world, which you'll learn about today. We also have with us Beth Jermain, and Beth is the Support Options Administrator at the Resource Center, where she has worked for 31 years. Beth specializes in individual supports and has had many innovative programs to support people in a judgment-free way to get the best possible outcomes. Beth has overseen and implemented many innovative grant programs that have assisted people in living more independent lives. In the past few years, Beth has put a lot of focus working and developing in a poverty reduction program through an ESPRI grant, also called SAFER. And Beth is a certified housing navigator and a reliable personal outcomes measure interview. I don't even know what that is. I have no idea. Through the Council on Quality and Leadership, and is a certified facilitator in getting ahead in a just getting by world. Beth and Terri, thank you.
We will see if the technology will be on my side today.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy, so much for having us here today. We always like the opportunity to talk about INVESTU. I'm going to run out of space here. That's okay. So INVESTU is a workshop. It's a series of workshops following a curriculum called Getting Ahead in a Just Getting By World, which was the book that Amy held up. And it's modules that are geared towards those that are living in poverty or ALICE households. So for those of you that don't know, an ALICE household stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. So essentially it's the working poor. The curriculum helps people problem solve and learn to look into their future instead of focusing on what's happened in the past. And the program participants are called investigators. So from this point forward, you'll hear me refer to them as investigators. And they can examine their life and determine the goals that they need to achieve to move forward and to change their life situation. And the focus is really all about getting ahead and not just getting by, which is evidenced by the name. So Getting Ahead is modeled from Bridges Out of Poverty framework. Getting ahead in a just getting by world is really creates a safe environment for people to be able to come in and feel comfortable, and it's a comfortable learning environment. It helps them understand their circumstances and kind of how the decisions they've made over the years have impacted their lives and kind of have brought them to where they are today. There's a lot of discussion on the challenges moving forward. There's nothing easy about changing your life situations to move out of poverty. And the curriculum is very real in that sense, and explaining that, you know, if you're going to change your situation, there's challenges ahead, but there is some hope and ways to get through it. A lot on understanding the resources and the network of people that the investigators have available to them. Our community is very rich in resources, and sometimes people don't even know what's there to help them, or are so overwhelmed with their day-to-day, they don't know how to get to the next step to get to tomorrow. And it really is a facilitated learning experience for everybody. So we have 3 certified facilitators, Beth and myself and Cody and Chambers, who we work with. And each session has a facilitator and a co-facilitator at minimum. The participants we recruit through either local community partners, or people can refer themselves. We actually had somebody apply for our last session that heard about it from Dennis Webster's radio program and had learned about it there and had reached out and applied. And then we review applications for everybody, and then we do an interview with them to make sure that they understand the commitment that is involved and kind of what the next steps would be, and make sure that they understand what it's about, and we can get a good sense on if we feel that they would be appropriate for the program to be able to see it through to the end. And then we figure out a location that's best for the people that are in the group. That tends to be quite the challenge because everybody, so far have been working 2 or 3 jobs. They're going to school, they're single parents. Their lives could not be more busy. When I think my life is busy, I look at these folks that have come through the program and feel like I'm taking a few days off each week. And then we do an orientation with them once they've been accepted into the program, and they go through 16 3-hour sessions. So it is a long commitment. It goes, for 16 weeks. In that 16 weeks, there's also homework assignments and things that they do besides just meeting for 3 hours each week. And the investigators get a stipend. That is really intended to use them as a consultant. They are the experts in poverty, right? They know about it. They know how we can make changes in our community to end poverty. And it really creates a sense for them to have some motivation for change. It really kind of gives them something to look forward to. And it really helps kind of create, if they need to pay for childcare to come, or they need a gas card so that they can get there, or pay for transportation to get to the groups, that can help make that happen. So one of the things that we've learned is that poverty is never just about the individual. It occurs in communities that have varying resources and access to opportunities and support. And there's several factors that hold people in poverty and hold them back and prevent them from moving forward. And sometimes it's public policy, and sometimes, it's life decisions. And so as we go through the curriculum, the goal is to have the graduates build resources for themselves. And there's 2-pronged stories. There's a personal story and a community story. And we really dive into both of those. Our focus is to try to stabilize their living experience. And the Getting Ahead research shows that action will result in graduates increasing their income, reducing debt, and building assets. And so we partner with actually John at Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union to help the graduates learn more about how they can do some of those things and how they can build their assets. And he's been great coming to our graduations and offering them some additional support that they may need. It really puts them on a path for success, and it helps them be able to see what's possible. It's hard to explain some of the learning journey that they have as they go through that 16 weeks. And as we've gone through 2 classes now, and it seems to be that the session 3 seems to be the epiphany moment where they all kind of hit their stride and start feeling comfortable with each other and feel like they're, we see a change in them after that 3rd session. But it really encourages them to become an active partner in their community and know that there's, it can open up doors for them, and that they have a voice too, and that their voice can be heard. And it's important for them to be involved in the community if they want to be part of making changes. And so we've had a lot of people have that moment of saying, like, well, who am I? What can I do? How is my opinion going to matter with anything? And now they're, getting connected and being on some local committees and some boards. So they really can see things from a different way. And then at the end, as they go through the 16-week sessions, they build what's called a My Future Story portfolio that they then have with them to take and use. So the investigators learn a lot of different things. And this is just like a little snapshot of what we do in the 16 weeks. But they learn about financial predators. We've identified in our community that there are a lot of them. And so one of it was just having them recognize what a financial predator is. And there's a lot of businesses that will take advantage of people that are, don't have that strong financial background and aren't fiscally sound. And sometimes they have no other choice than to pay really high interest rates. Or, if they need a car, they're going to have to do what they have to do, and they don't know what other resources and things are out there for them. So we spend a lot of time just focusing on what's available and what options are. But we've had some big aha moments with the group on financial predators. And, one person, everyone that was listed says, I've used every single one of those and had no idea that, she was being preyed upon because of her bad or no credit. They learn about mental models of poverty, middle class, and wealth. And we learn about the hidden rules of language and really learning how to communicate and how to fit in when you're with other groups of people. And, a good example is if there's a bunch of attorneys in the room, they're kind of speaking their language. And then if I walked in, I probably wouldn't know anything and how to, fit in with that group, and really making sure that they understand how to fit in with different groups and understanding that every group has their own hidden rules of language. How to navigate different systems in our community. It can be complex. There's a lot of resources, but if you don't know how to use them, you don't know where, how to get through there. Increase knowledge of themselves, and really they take a look at how they got to where they are today and what they need to do to move forward. And sometimes there's some really difficult moments that have to occur. And sometimes it is leaving people behind. If you're going to move forward, you have to leave other people behind that are currently in your life because they're the ones holding you back. We had somebody from one of our classes that said that she wanted to continue her education, and because nobody in her family had ever been to college, they were not in favor of that. And she ended up disowning her family, or her family disowned her because she wanted to pursue her education. I mean, those are the types of situations that people find themselves in. And in order for her to move her life forward and not live in generational poverty, she needed to just break away from some of her family ties, which, was quite a story for her to have divulged that during the class and learn about the journey that she was going through. And they really start looking at themselves in a different lens. We've seen a lot of people have moments throughout the sessions where something different affects everybody. It could be the hidden rules that affect one person, and it could be the financial predators that affect somebody else. But everybody has a moment as they go through there that really hits them close to home based on what their lived experiences are. Some of the things that we learned that are a must-have for us is that flexibility is key. We really have to meet people where they're at, and that's both literally and figuratively. So, trying to find a spot that's conducive to meet with wherever everybody lives, if they're walking, if they have a vehicle, lots of things that go into where we're even going to have the sessions. But really understanding that everybody is at a different place and recognizing that right from the get-go. The group develops group rules. And we can add to that. We post that at the beginning of every session, and making sure that everybody is comfortable and feels comfortable, and that everybody is respectful of everybody else. Because we find a lot of different, people are coming from different places and have different feelings about things. And I would say the last couple of years that we've done this, it's been probably a large political time. And so people have a lot of opinions, and making sure that everybody is respectful of everybody and they have the opportunity to pass. They have an opportunity to participate. They have an understanding, and we as the facilitators have an understanding of our unconscious biases and how that can impact as we're facilitating and going through that. And then we talk about it with the group, because everybody comes from a different place, and making sure that they understand that just because somebody may not think the way that they do or have the same experiences, that it's okay, and to learn from each other. And I can't even explain, I wish I could, but I can't explain the relationships that form with a group of strangers that didn't know each other, prior to the group, because it really has been really, really interesting to see. And then accommodations. Obviously, we work at the Resource Center, so that's nothing new to us. But both groups that we've had so far, we've had different things that we've needed to accommodate for non-English speaking individuals, individuals with learning disabilities that need the material presented to them in a different way. But just making sure that we understand what is needed ahead of time, so that somebody is set up for success right at the very beginning. So, if you live in an unstable environment, it's really hard and much more difficult to make change than if you live in a stable environment. So the more stable somebody is, the easier it is for them to build their resources. So these are some of the areas that we look at when it comes to stability, and they study these different areas in their life to see what their stability scale is. Some of it, that time horizon, is just like identifying what you spend your time on. If you're always spending your time trying to get out of a crisis situation, because that's where you're at, because your electric is getting shut off and your gas is getting shut off and your car broke down, and that's where all of your time is going. And so you don't have the the energy left to focus on those other things to get you out of your situation. And so they do a whole week process of identifying what they do with their time. And it's really eye-opening for people to see when you map it out on a schedule where all of your time goes. And then if their housing is stable, their finances are stable, all of these different areas, their employment, their family, all of those things that come into their life. So we look at that, and they look at that at the beginning and the end to see where changes are made. So we think that this program is extremely important to keep. And the reason that it came to be is because a couple of years ago, I was asked to go with Amy and John Felton to present to the Social Services Committee for the New York State Assembly. And we heard, as we were giving testimony about some programs we were doing here in Jamestown, there was a gentleman there from Watertown, New York, that was talking about this program and this curriculum and how his life has changed because of it. And, we went there to present, and I gained more information from going there than I had anticipated for sure, and came back and said, we've got to find a way to get this in Jamestown. There's such a need for it, and it's a kind of a costly program. And so we had to find a way to get some grant funding to do that. But we know that poverty is a real struggle for people in our community, and people just get lost trying to navigate through the systems. They get buried in that day-to-day of how to get to the next step. And when we talk to people and learn about some of the struggles they have, it really is no wonder how, they continue to get through and get through and get through. And sometimes it's just the daily things that are causing them to struggle. And sometimes it's bigger picture things. So Beth is going to show you through a couple things and talk about the posters that we've hung on the wall and some of the discovery that they have in class.
Okay. So this is we do a lot of mental models in the workshop, and this is just an example of one of the exercises that we do. And this kind of just shares the difference between, it's when we're talking about different classes and how different classes play different roles in the society. And this really depicts the wealthy class makes the policies and the systems, and the middle class runs the systems and implements the policy. And it's the people who are living in poverty who are really feeding the system. And they're the ones really affected by the policies, but they're not at the table typically when those policies are being made. And one of the things that happen in class is that it opens some doors, as Terri was talking about, to some mutual respect within the different classes, and the people in the workshop thinking that I might be able to have a voice at the table and having the confidence to do that. Some of the other picture or the posters around the room, sorry. There's a mental model of poverty, and we make that in class, and that's on the first picture there on the left. And so the group gets together, and when they think about poverty and their experiences, so that's what's created there. And then the next picture, or the poster next to that, is what do people think poverty is, or how is people perceptions, community perceptions about poverty. And then the third slide, the third poster really talks about what poverty really is and what really causes poverty. And then the class is very interactive. Go ahead. Oh, there you go. The class is very interactive. We encourage people who are participating in the class to get up, and they're the ones making the posters. They're the ones participating. It's very interactive. They work in groups. And there's a lady with a crown on. It's because we were doing an exercise, an activity with regard to wealth and versus people in poverty. And she ended up with all the chairs because she's a person living in wealth. So, yep, I think we'll go. This is really another slide, and we have some pictures in the back there behind Mike's head. But those are some additional pictures along with this. So it's really demonstrating the distribution of household wealth in 2016 between the top 10% and everyone else. And it really talks about the growth of wealth in the top 1%. And they have to get up and they have to move, they have to hold signs to kind of demonstrate the disparities in wealth and the income disparities and taxes. And, you know, it talks about the income of the top 5% in 2014 grew 78%. You know, and how that disparity between CEOs and the lowest, let's say the employee that's making the least amount of money. So a lot of that kind of stuff. And in that class, they have a lot of epiphanies and they start to realize that this is not just because of the decisions I made. This is because there's other things oppressing me from moving forward, and they can see things from a different lens. I think that's it. I think too, as they go through that, some of the historical information is discussed there and discovered where, you know, the discrepancy 40 years ago was a lot different than it is now. So somebody that was, you know, an upper management at a bank could be living 2 blocks away from their janitor that worked at the bank, where that's not how we see things today. Usually there's a significant difference. And so it shows like over time how disparities have occurred. Oh, some of the other things that are on the wall, the 2 things with the graphs there, the bar charts, that's the community assessments that both groups have done. And so there is a community assessment. It's a several-week project that they do, and each person gets an area. It could be on financial, it could be on leadership, and all of these things that are in our community. And they rate them based on a series of questions. And sometimes they were doing interviews and surveys with other community members. And it's just interesting to see them side by side because they are a little bit different, but still similar in a lot of ways. So our next steps are that our hope is to continue to receive funding. We would like to have some of our graduates now become trained as co-facilitators because they are the experts, right? So we want them to be a co-facilitator, and that would also allow us to be able to do more sessions as well. So we are going to be looking for additional funding to expand the program out beyond what it originally is now. We want to continue to partner with other organizations that can offer support to our graduates. You know, one organization that does Getting Ahead has a relationship with their local Habitat for Humanity, and where if you are a Getting Ahead graduate, you automatically qualify for that step. And so we would like to build relationships with different organizations locally that recognizes the work and the impact that has gone into the program, so that they can continue to move forward and see their lives change as a result of going through this. And we currently have actually 4 graduates from our 2 classes that we've had that are interested in becoming facilitators. So a couple of quick things that we've learned is that people are all in this for the right reasons. You know, they have very, very busy schedules. As I mentioned, 2 and 3 jobs, college students, single parents, and still make this a priority for 3 weeks. And yeah, with no transportation. They're very, very resilient. The stories that they share during the course of the 16 weeks is really shows that they are fighters, and the reason that they're at the table is because they want to make change. They become such a support to each other and nurture each other. And in our first graduation that we had, we offered them a chance to come up and speak, and not one of them came up by themselves. They were out, like somebody was always there holding the microphone for them and kind of encouraging them because they were nervous to speak up and share their story. They've created their own network, and now we've got groups of 2 different classes coming together, and we hope that that will continue to grow. It is very, very hard work. The emotional work that it takes on each of the investigators and the work that they have to put in to make the changes is not easy. And all of those things in their life don't go away just because they're doing this class. And so they still have to figure out how to navigate all of those things. So people really have to be ready to put the work in. So this is our 2 classes that we've had so far. This is graduation day. We have brought community leaders together so that they can hear and see some of the things that they have found in their investigations and what they've learned about our community, some of those things that are holding people back from moving forward. And they're really developing a skill set to participate in other communities and or committees and organizations that are in our community, and really learning how they can be integrated members in our community with other people. So we're going to see if this works.
This is a little video clip from our first graduation. These are two of our graduates. Let's see.
The Getting Ahead graduates began
Hear
our journey in March with Terri, Beth, and Chloe facilitating the study. We have accomplished many things, such as in the Getting Ahead class, we learned to build relationships that help us succeed and recognize that money is not the only resource that keeps people stuck in poverty. We made practical plans to move forward, all while gaining understanding of hidden rules that various socioeconomic groups use and language that they use. Many of us in 2021 class of Getting Ahead have struggled with poverty for various reasons, including myself. Through many setbacks and a serious health condition, I have learned to survive and how to get by. Today I can say I'm no longer a survivor, but a warrior. The investigating class of 2021 are all warriors. The class has created a definition of Getting Ahead warrior. And that reads, a person with the knowledge to build a better life for themselves and their community. We also have a personal experience to know the impact of poverty on our community. We also have ideas that could change the impact of poverty in Chicago County. Our research has been out. In closing, I would like to say that Sofield once said, difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. To the Getting Ahead class of 2021, may your roads always lead to a beautiful destination and may you never fall lonely.
So that was one of our graduates who her daughter participated in the second one. So she was a graduate of our first class, and then her daughter came through the second class, and she got up and spoke there at the second class and said that they are going from generational poverty to generational getting ahead, because now she's seen the benefit and is now bringing her family through the process as well. So it was really great to see how the whole family could come together. I know that was probably really hard to hear. If you want, I can send somebody the link and they could share it. We have both graduations. The graduations are long, they're over an hour long, but we've been recording them and we have them on a secured YouTube link. So does anybody have any questions?
Much as COVID impacted and maybe set back poverty improvement?
Well, it hasn't helped. As far as this particular workshop goes, we've had a lot of challenges. It's really intended to have everybody sitting in a room together and building those relationships. And we've had to do a lot of hybrid things. We've had people quarantining and a lot of different things. We've learned a lot. We've learned that if you put your cell phone in a bowl, it magnifies in the room so people can hear. But overall, I think we've seen a lot of people. I mean, one of the individuals in the first class had kind of shared her COVID experience and how that set her back personally months and months because she couldn't work. And she had some significant hardships, and it took her a long time to be able to go back to work. She was self-employed. She was in college. She became self-employed so that she could go to college to become a nurse. And while she was doing all of that and trying to pay her way through, she was out ill for a significant period of time, and she got behind in her rent. She got behind in her vehicle payments, and she was going to school at JCC for nursing, and she lived in Dunkirk, and just, you name it, it happened. Her electric things blew up in her house. I mean, and there was just no way to cover some of the things that she had encountered. And so her personal experiences were very real, and her setback overall is the whole community. I don't know. A lot of people that we work with have that impact of COVID, but it's hard to put a dollar figure to it at this point. Anything else? Yes. Oh. I'm sorry? There is. It's a little bit different, but yes, there's different programs that you can do, for a younger group. There's also one for, it's called Getting Ahead While Getting Out, and it's for people that are incarcerated so that they can do that while they're still incarcerated to plan for their future of moving forward. And then there's another one too, a workplace stability one as well. John, did you have one?
challenge for any year. Reach out to Terri and Beth.
Yeah, they really are a wealth of knowledge and they are very eager to participate. And I know like the one girl, for example, like she started out with saying, you know, upfront, like, nobody wants to hear from me. She goes, I'm like, who cares what I have to say? And then by the end, she was like, I can't wait to tell people what I have to say, you know? And she really came a long way. And the progression that you can see throughout that 16 weeks is really amazing. Oh, yeah.
The definition of poverty is a moving target. How are you defining it at this point?
I didn't hear you.
The definition of poverty is a moving target. How are you defining it at this point?
So we typically, as far as the criteria for the program, we follow federal poverty guidelines, and we usually follow them for the previous year. Usually between 200% of the poverty, federal poverty guidelines is what we follow. Oh gosh, I don't know. It depends on the number of people in the household. So it changes depending on, but it's pretty low. Pretty low. Yes, Diana.
Aside from the graduates, informally supporting each other, are there any other things that are being done to help maintain?
Yeah, so we, a couple different things, like, as John mentioned, Dawn, the graduate that spoke, is now involved with the United Way allocations panels, and trying to get them more involved in different things in their community and connect them with other resources. So yes, they have their internal network, but we've been kind of facilitating and feeding them information and opportunities as they come up. And so we stay connected with them, even though, they're graduated, to help them kind of push them in different things. So something just came up the other day and it was a webinar that they could participate on through the AHA process, which gave us our certification, and it was free for them to participate. And I forgot what the topic was. Yeah, it was on resiliency, and made sure we shared that out with all of them, that they had like 3 days to sign up and register for it. So we share information with them as it comes up, and they communicate a lot. A couple of them have gotten some new jobs since they participated. And one of them has reached out a couple of times because she was writing a grant. She goes, can you just proofread it for me? I've never done this before. So we'll provide whatever support we can.
Question right from that in terms of measuring outcomes.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you're going to ask about outcomes, Diana. Yeah, so we are looking at it. So we do like a pre and a post test with them, and then we are following up with them like after 6 months to see where they are. It's not really a lot of work to follow up with them at this point because it's a small group and we've all stayed connected anyway. But we've definitely seen some growth in their lives. Throughout with all of them. Even not everybody makes it to graduation day. I should mention that. Like we've had quite a few people that have had to drop somewhere in throughout the process because the commitment was just too much. And even one that has she made it probably 75% of the way through and was not able to continue because of circumstances that had come up. And we still, hear from her occasionally and know what's going on and and she's picking back up, and she would like to do another class at some point, but the timing wasn't right. It's about $10,000 per class. Yeah, there's a cost to it. It's in part because of the stipend that they receive. So they get a $25 gift card for each session that they attend. And that's really probably the biggest cost for it. And we provide a meal because we're there from 5 to 8. And so we feed them while they're there. So those are the two biggest costs that are associated with it. We've done the classes mostly at the YWCA in their classroom there because that was what was convenient for people. But then one of the graduates had an affiliation at her church, and we ended up moving it to her church just because it ended up being a little bit closer and easier for people to get out, and the space worked for the technology that we needed. So.
A question from Zoom, average age of participants.
The average age, it's such a range that I would say probably 35 would be the average. 30?
Yeah, maybe, somewhere in there.
Because we've had
18 and 55. 60.
Yeah.
There's no maximum.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Terri and Beth. One of Rotary's main international programs is to eradicate polio in the world. We're down to just 2 countries in the world where polio exists. In honor and thanks for your presentation to our Rotary Club today, we will make a donation in your name that will vaccinate 4 children who will never experience polio in their life. Remembering this year's Rotary International theme, serve to change lives. And with that, thank you, and we are adjourned. Very nice, thank you. Good, great.